Welcome back to another episode of your Divine Glow podcast. I'm Ashley Conyers, aka the Divine Glow Coach, who guides professionals to embrace and find their true purpose through entrepreneurship. Thank you for tuning in today. If you are new and you're tuning in from YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss when we drop a new episode. My special guest today is the author of the book called and the author of his private practice called Mental and Mind, where he provides individual therapy to teenagers and adults. He's also the creator of RayTube, the infamous YouTube channel designed to teach other social workers how to pass the Association of Social Work Board licensure exams. Please welcome Rayshawn Ledet to the space. How are you?
Thank you, Ashley, for having me. Definitely appreciate it. Glad to be here.
I always get so hyped when I see my fellow colleagues or friends. I always get excited when you guys are doing amazing things. And as well, just to let the listeners know, like I know you from grad school. So it's been a pleasure to see your journey. And I always tell you that because you inspire me just as much, just coming from the social work field and just being a fellow social worker. It is amazing to see just like your growth, your determination, and just to see the things that you said that you were going to do come to fruition. Like I don't know if you ever look back and you'd be like, dang, I did that. Like, or I am doing that.
Funny enough that you mentioned that. I actually in 2022, I actually started keeping a list of accomplishments in the note section of my phone. So anytime I have an accomplishment of reaching a certain milestone with the YouTube channel or releasing the book, or whatever it may be, I always add it to that note section and reflect on it maybe 2-3 times throughout the year, but definitely at the end.
Yeah, that's dope. I think that's smart to do. Journals have been a thing for me, but sometimes I don't really write every day as much as I should. So things get obviously forgotten about. I love the fact that you actually remember to keep it in the notes because sometimes we just get so sidetracked.
No, I understand. And in 2022, especially when I really started putting things in motion, it was just an idea that popped in my mind where if I accomplish certain things, I'm gonna just be mindful of to add it to the note section. So, and it's not like I'm accomplishing something every day. I mean, I might have a good 2-3 day window, but usually when again reaching certain milestones, I'll just jot it in there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So did you just mention that you started your journey back in 2022?
As far as when you say journey, there's I think of the YouTube journey, and then I think of the social work journey. If we going all the way back to undergrad and all that. So actually in undergrad, well, entering college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do just as a whole. And my mother's a social worker, and she would tell me about what the field entails and all that great stuff. And I was like, all right, I'll take a few classes, see how I mesh with it. And I always say I was either going to be a dentist, a movie director, or a therapist. And I'm a therapist, and I am very, very happy with the path that I chose. And real quick, why I just have a fascination with teeth. Like I don't have a Colgate smile or nothing like that. I just like nice smiles. And then with a movie director, it kind of coincides a bit with a therapist in a way, not fully, but in a way where for directors, I like the art of being able to put out a certain display to evoke a certain emotion from a person or the audience, right?
Oh, yeah.
So as a therapist, again, not exactly, but we're helping them navigate through that mental maze in their mind to discover whatever they need for themselves. Part of it, aspect of therapy. So ultimately, speaking with them, I didn't know what I fully wanted to do, but those were kind of like some lingering options in my mind where I could do this, I could do that. Spoke with my mom. She told me about the social work profession, started taking some classes, liked it. And then fast forward where, with the social work, as a social worker, it's like you don't need your master's degree, but you kind of need your master's degree. So grad school, we needed internship. So I interned at an outpatient facility, and I just fell in love with the art of therapy. Then ever since then, I've just been going down this path.
Sweet. So you
Yep,
just
yep.
followed in her footsteps. Does she do the similar things, like work with similar population?
Nope. It was more so on her end, like the case management type of services, where I was more so took the clinical route to be. I'm a social worker, but I'm a therapist under the social work umbrella.
Got it. For
Mm.
those that don't know, like there's levels to this. So,
Yeah,
you
it's very
know,
broad.
yes. So Ray is a licensed clinical social worker. Like a social worker like me, I'm a licensed social worker. I honestly, Ray, I did want to go for clinical. That was my goal.
Mm.
But then I obviously chose not to. For me, I wanted to be a therapist as well, but after just my experiences as an intern, it was just like, yeah, this is not for me. Like, I don't even see this being a long term option. And, it's not for everybody, honestly. It's not. It's just a lot of things like when you're a therapist, like obviously you want to help people, you want to listen and empathize and try to help them figure out problems, give them strategies to then find a solution. But
Well, it's more so what you were speaking to initially of, is this for me? And that goes for any job. Not everyone
right.
is meant to be a doctor, a lawyer, a police officer, a marine biologist, a social worker pursuing this route of becoming a therapist. So, really knowing yourself. I know for myself personally, uh, what I do as a therapist, I'm ultimately a social worker, but what I do as a therapist, it just caters to my natural skill set. I'm really good at conceptualizing people, picking up on social cues, understanding the subtleties, being able to uh, identify certain trends, patterns, everything. And I don't know if I told you off camera before, but I actually took a Clifton Strengths assessment, and this was after the
Mhm.
fact. Um, but the Clifton Strengths Assessment is a 30-minute assessment, and it details you your strengths, and they're unique to you. So my number one strength is strategic. And if, let's say, Ashley was to take it, she could get strategic as well as her number one strength, but her strategic can say something completely different from mine. And with strategic, being able, my ease of use with language, being able to communicate the words I use. And then my number two strength was empathy, that understanding. And this is something where I say this is God given. I never worked at this. I never tried. I never bring my work home with me. I never have. And in school, when we would have supervision, amongst the peers and everything, and the supervisor and the professor at the time, depending on which environment, um, my peers would talk about their internship and the heaviness that they brought home at times and how certain cases were difficult to manage. And I've heard some uh, pretty heavy stories. Never brought it home with me. Not that I don't care. Like, I'm definitely involved. I'm definitely there, mindful, present in the moment. I just don't bring it home with me, and I can't take credit for that. As far as like, oh yeah, I worked at this every day. I made sure I debriefed. Da, 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 da. And that's one of the reasons why I think I was just made for this.
Have you ever seen that show Severance?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, long story short, they the show is based off once they enter work, they just have this different, it's not a mindset. Like they're still the same person, but their work self is not knowledgeable of their personal self. And then
Okay.
once they leave work, their personal self has no idea of who their work self is. And they have a different tone, different mannerisms at work compared to even when they have in their personal lives. Crazy. Just being a caring person and just being empathetic to the stories and the people that we come in contact with. I really want to help them and I'm doing everything in my power. That and knowing the circumstances they may be in, that bothers me. I
Mm.
would really much take that home. But like you said, is really knowing yourself and what you can handle.
Uh, to what you were just speaking to, I don't. Although I don't take it home with me per se, I don't think I ever turn it off. Where if someone has there are 24 hours in a day. If 8 hours is spent sleeping, if we get 8 hours, and the other 8 hours is spent at work, whether we work for ourselves or work for a company, and that's if we're only working 8 hours, imagine we're doing overtime and everything. We're influenced by our environment. And if we're spending 8 hours plus in a certain environment, whether you're a lawyer, a doctor, a entrepreneur, just how you view things, view life, it doesn't necessarily get turned off, but it's a awareness of like, I'm not in a therapy session. I'm not in the courtroom. I'm not in this. Like, we're mindful of that, but just how we perceive things and think about certain things, it doesn't necessarily turn off. But I know for me, that's why whenever I'm talking about this aspect of it, I say this is all God-given talent. I did not work at this. I wasn't doing all the debriefs and everything like that. But for anyone listening, especially for anyone that wants to become a therapist and like, oh, am I able to actually handle that? You know, there are things in place to help with that, where the ongoing supervision, the peer support. So those things are there. And it is discussed within the curriculum as well to help prevent burnout and whatnot, because it is heavy as a whole. I'm just saying for me as in particular, but those things are there, and it is good to know yourself ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to pivot a little bit for your social work journey. How did that develop into your online platform, RayTube?
Mm-hmm. So of course, well, as a social worker, when you graduate from the master's program, I know it's a bit different depending on what area you're in, but in New Jersey, and I went to school at Rutgers, the earliest you were able to take the LSW, the license to become a licensed social worker, if you passed the exam, the earliest you were able to take it was the final semester when you're en route to graduate with your master's degree. So that final semester, I studied for the exam. I just stayed in my dorm. I didn't go anywhere for spring break or anything like that. I was just like, I'm just going to study. So I got in a lot of hardcore studying, all that, ultimately passed. And when I took it, I was like, I was like, I had some thoughts about it, but I was just like, it's whatever, right? Like, I had some thoughts about it, but I was just happy to pass. And I actually needed to pass, so I'm able to ultimately get hired at that outpatient facility where I was interning at. So, and then after 2 years worth of supervision, you have the ability to take the LCSW to become a licensed clinical social worker. And the difference between the LSW and the LCSW, you're able to do more things. So with the LCSW, to become a licensed clinical social worker, it's another exam, and they're formatted pretty much the same, the exams. You're able to diagnose people, open up your own private practice, like literally just do more. Agencies that pay you more just for having the LCSW title. And I say all that to say, I went through the experience, so I knew what the exam was like personally. And after passing the LCSW exam, I was like, man, I think there's just a better way to go about teaching this material, like just as a whole. And just some lingering thoughts caught up with life things, working and everything else that's going on. But in 2020 in particular, I said, I know this is the long-term play. Like, I already knew it, and I'm already familiar with YouTube where, well, I guess you could say pretty much everyone uses YouTube at this point. I mean,
Thanks.
but there will be different channels that I will watch just back in the day, and I already had a good idea about YouTube and how it worked and everything like that. So I'm like, okay, I know YouTube's a long-term play, and this caters to my natural skill set, like even going to the Clifton strengths. And I didn't take it till later, like way, way later, but I was always aware of myself, like my talents, my strengths of being able to break information down, my ease of use with language. So in 2020, I started RayTube, and the first video I made was how to register for your exam. Because at the time, they got much better now. It's a much easier, streamlined process. But at the time, it was kind of difficult to find where to go to navigate to even sign up for the exam and the things that we had to do, like to mail in and all that other stuff. So to answer your question, 2020, that's when it all started. And it was just something I feel I could contribute to the field. And I always knew YouTube was the long-term play.
I always think about the stories that I hear from other colleagues as well, that they took them 3-4 times just to pass the test. And it's just like, whoa. Like, and then it's not free. It's not like, hey, I'm just sign right back up and I paid
Yep.
one time, you're paying for that every time. And it could be so discouraging. So you're like, I'm sure you're heaven sent to a lot of people out here. I didn't realize how big of a deal it was. Just because I just took it one time. So I didn't know it's that much of a headache, especially going time after time after time. To me, it's like a game that we just have to figure it out. But I'm happy that you're getting so much success and helping people just have all those success stories, and helping them, making them their dreams come true, essentially, in whatever they want to do, whether it is just the LSW or the LCSW. You're pushing them forward. So I want to ask you this: do you see yourself as a entrepreneur? Like, do you identify yourself as an entrepreneur?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. At this point, you are, because I feel like a lot of social workers, we weren't taught that entrepreneurship was a thing for us, right? The main thing was, hey, you could have a private practice. That's it. We didn't call ourselves entrepreneurs. We didn't call ourselves business owners. But essentially, that's kind of like where we've fallen into. And I love to see the growth and just a different mindset of it all, and how we're pivoting and knowing that, like, hey, even with our license, we can do other things. Whether it's like me in mindset coaching, business coaching, career coach, whatever it is that they want to do. The license in the field, as you said before, is so broad that we could leverage our skills and be able to do what it is that we're called to do. So what lessons have you learned so far, just along the way, on your entrepreneurial journey, and how do you incorporate these lessons into your daily work now?
So I think I'm just blessed because with my skill set, my natural skill set, and there's other um, talents that I have that other than just hey, I don't bring it home with me, which actually helps because all of our skills, all of our talents, all our skill set just translates to every area of our life in some way, right? Some more impactful than others, but just in some way. And um, with myself of uh, professionalism, be professional, and the interactions. There's a lot of when you're an entrepreneur, you do everything from A to Z, Z back up to A. Like you do everything, all the emails, like from the ground up. There is no team in the beginning. You're answering all the emails. Professionalism, number one. Working at the outpatient facility, very corporate, very by the book. So that definitely helped. And it was we had a younger agency, but they were still older than me. So it was good being around that certain maturity level. So
Mm-hmm.
that definitely helped. Um, with business as a whole, it's if you've heard this before of, you know, find a need and give the answer to that need, whatever that issue is. And for what I'm doing here, it was the exam. It can be tricky, difficult to navigate how to even prepare for this exam. And some of the sources out there, they're giving their take on it, and this is just Ray's take. And I'm just simplifying and organizing how I present the information, how I will want it presented to me. Talk to me like I'm four. So that goes back to my Clifton strength, my number one Clifton strength of strategic, but it's more so dealing with my use and ease of language. So they appreciate that. The social workers, when they're watching my YouTube videos and when I'm doing study groups and whatnot. And my motto, I always put people first. Where when I even started on the YouTube channel, I have the best YouTube channel out there. And that's not me trying to toot my own horn or anything like that, but it's just the amount of content I put out there, doing the research, answering certain questions that I had to put in real work to find out, calling NASW, which is our national board for social workers, to find certain answers, putting that content out on YouTube, and even when starting the study groups, and I started the study groups in 2022, where for that whole year I said you could pay whatever dollar amount you want to attend. I had someone pay me a penny, and I was like, that'd be the best penny they ever spent to attend study groups. And I was all throughout that time. And then the next year, I finally put a price on it, and my groups are the most affordable. I over deliver. So the main thing throughout this entrepreneurial journey that I've learned is your customer service is very important. Your professionalism is very important. And I don't know the word for this per se, but being okay with doing the simple, possibly mundane tasks where I gotta like go over here, check this out. I gotta go over, do this. I gotta do. You're literally doing everything. Oh, and the biggest one, um, if you ever heard the saying of "be a forever student," unless someone literally taught you all of this, like I mean everything, being able to learn how to use iMovie, YouTube. Shout out to YouTube, youtube.com, YouTube University. How to use iMovie. Okay, that's how you do it. Oh, how do I take my picture and put it in the top corner and screen record? How do I do that?
Right.
How do I screen record a lot of the how to, because I don't know about you, Ashley, but I don't have a friend that just knew how to do all of these things, and I just had access to 24/7 where I could just hit up, hey, how do you do this? 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 So
Yeah.
learning, professionalism, and continue learning.
That is so real. So real. I love to say that we are a student of life. That is the thing. Every day I wake up, I'm like, this is my classroom. What am I learning today? How can I serve today? Because honestly, like you said, there's no team here. Especially, we're starting out,
Yeah.
there's no team, and we have to learn in order for once we do bring other team members on, we would then teach them or, help them improve their skills that they already have or learn from each other. And I think that's where, God comes in and brings the people that you need, right? There's people that I didn't even know I needed. Like until I met them, I was like, oh, like I know why you here. Like I understand. And then, they help me get to a certain level that I need to be on, or maybe I needed a little extra push or of encouragement to get to that point. Because we all need somebody. It seems like we are alone, but in all actuality, in this business that we're building and growing is not just about us. It's about other people and how everybody is contributing to this one thing. It may not even be theirs, but they're like, I see the mission, I see your vision, and I just believe in what you're doing. And that means a lot, and for them to even contribute. And it doesn't have to necessarily be, anything grand, but even having a conversation about it, right? That is still time and energy. And whatever I take from that conversation, I just go put forth in that action. And to know that, I still have that support there if needed is still amazing. And I'm grateful for that. The professionalism piece is so important too, because I don't know about you, but I come across some businesses that I'm just like, and no shade, right? No shade. I think we have improvement that needs to be done. We have to operate as a business. We have to remember, okay, I'm not just doing this just to do it. I want people to come back. That client retention is so important. Like we want people to, yes, be here and come through the door, but we also want people to stay and keep coming back and ask the questions and be involved and be part of the community. But, I think it just takes that time. And of course, like I said, the type of people that you surround yourself with and that it's going to be put in your life to have that effect on you and make that change. Have you experienced that where, you know, people have come into your life that you really didn't know that you needed in order to build either your private practice or, RayTube?
Not a So the people that came into my life, um, some of which I actually uh directly and indirectly. So I have a mentor. His name's Anton Daniel. Shout out to him. He's a serial entrepreneur. Puts God first, emphasizes doing great business, great character above all. And he's not a social worker or anything like that, but just watching how he operates in his businesses and everything, um, it gives me ideas for how I should carry myself and my business. Just ideas. Again, it's not like a one for one. He's not a social worker or anything like that. It's just certain nuggets, certain gems that way. See how he handled a certain situation or anything like that, and I'll just keep it up here, or depending on what it is, like apply it to my business. So, for example, one of the things he would say after his videos is, um, "All right, everyone, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell a friend because we don't want to be successful by ourselves." And in my videos,
Mm,
at the end, I would say, "And don't forget to tell a social work friend because we don't want to be licensed by ourselves." So it would just be things like that that I would pick up, or whatever the case may be. Um, as far as directly helping with the business, anyone that I reached out to, it was for a very specific need. Like, hey, like for my this is for my private practice though. My boy Angel, shout out to my boy Angel. He helped me build a website, and then he quarterbacked the whole thing. So shout out to him, because while being a learner is important,
mm,
knowing your limits, where I'm not going to learn how to build a website from scratch, so that's something you want to outsource.
yeah.
Um, uh, but yeah, I would more so say it would just watching them be. Oh, and going back to the influence, your environment is important. So that was a good point that you highlight, as far as like just ultimately like your environment, your social media environment, all of it, right? So if you
Hmm.
find a group of people going in the same direction as you, that helps, because whenever you're communicating with them, yeah, you're gonna talk about like fun personal stuff and whatnot, but you're also gonna make sure you talk about that business, doing productive things. What
Yeah.
direction you're headed in? Are you stuck? What do you need help with? Someone in the circle might know, in the community. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. We need people on the same level as us. We definitely want people above us because we need
Mhm.
someone as a role model or a mentor. Um, but I also think it's important to not forget about the people that we're also helping, that may be behind us, right? That may be like looking at us as like, hey, that's my mentor or my role model. Essentially, it is really about giving back to your community. And that's what I see you doing all the time. That's essentially what you are doing as we speak. It's like, listen, it doesn't matter what level you're on. I want to help you, and just giving back. And correct me if I'm wrong. Did you do a giveaway not too long ago?
Not a giveaway, but something I do with RayTube and the study groups and whatnot. Um, I pay for people's licensure exam. So it's around, depending on the area you're in, it's around 300.
Hmm.
So I would just flat out pay for people's licensure exams maybe 4 times a month. I
That's
host
dope.
at least one free study group a month. And for the past 3 weeks, I actually did three free study groups in a row. Um, and I usually, so one free study group a month. And if it's a major holiday, or like Mother's Day, all the moms got to attend for free. Father's Day, all the fathers got to attend for free. Memorial Day, um,
Yeah.
just yeah, major holidays. I usually do additional study groups, and give away free practice exams and things of that nature. That's like an ongoing thing, though. All of those things.
That is dope. See, anybody listening who's a social worker, y'all are missing out on RayTube, because he's giving out all the gems and he's here to support you for real. That's amazing. I love that you do that, because sometimes we can get so caught up in the success of things, right? Like, we don't there's
Mhm.
some people that just don't want to give back or don't think about it, but it's just like, no, like, you wouldn't be here without your supporters or people just like rooting for you and just actually believing in what you're doing. So it's important to give back and give that energy. It doesn't have to be anything tangible per se, but it's like, I really appreciate that paying for someone's tests. Like, come on. Like, that's like, that shows your heart for real. How has faith played a whole role in this? How do you even keep up your faith during this whole journey?
It's everything. I mean, you said keep up. There are times where um, I don't go to church every week. I'll miss a couple weeks. Um, there are times where I don't always pray, read in my Bible, but um, I make sure that I pray every morning, every night. Um, I show gratitude throughout the day. Like literally, if it just pops in my mind, I'm like, thank you, God. I feel like I'm
Mm,
very blessed. Everything that I have, everything that, like, you will know them by their fruits.
yeah,
And
yeah,
God is everything.
yeah. How would you define in one word your relationship with God right now?
It's like everything. Like it
Every
literally,
okay, cool.
it's everything.
Yeah, yeah. I only asked that question because that question was put on my heart. Um, one morning I was just reflecting and spending time with God, and He asked me that question, and I was like, God, I don't know, like, what do you think? The words weren't really coming to my mind, and then in that point in time, the word just forthcoming came to my mind. I don't really use that word on an everyday basis. I just don't. But forthcoming in the sense that like I'm able to feel comfortable coming to him with anything, no matter bad, good, and vice versa. Like he's able to come to me and I'm just here open hands and not closed fists and being able to surrender to him. So it's like a give and take. I thought that was so beautiful, and just the way that we could take that question and ask ourselves that on a more like monthly basis, even because it's forever changing. Whether you're talking about the business side of things or the personal side of things, I think that question is very important to just ask, especially just on this faith walk, on this journey, and just life in general. Because like you said, God is everything. Like we need to tap into him at all times because he's the one leading us, right? He's the one who gave us the business idea. He's the one who is pretty much leading us to the success of what we're building.
I like how you were speaking to of it doesn't matter whatever moment you're experiencing, like make sure to praise God during my highest of highs, my lowest of lows, randomly. Like that's why I say it really is everything. I'm blessed. I recognize the talent that I have, the value I can add to the world, the value I am adding to the world, and I even put it in the book, the first couple of pages.
Yeah. Speaking of your book, can you tell the audience what your book is about? How did it come to fruition for you?
Yes. So the book, hmm, right
Hmm.
here, and this is my logo for my private practice. A bunch of thought bubbles, and when I was creating the book, I just wanted to add value to the world. I wanted to add value to the world, and I'm a therapist. I'm your therapist friend, Ray. So I created a book, and I actually put it right here in the book. I'll read the first couple pages. Um, Hello, my name is Rayshawn Ledet, but you could call me Ray. I'm a licensed clinical social worker in New Jersey. My purpose in life is to provide some form of GUI, which stands for guidance, understanding, and insight to the world. I currently provide guide to others by way of therapy services in my private practice and teaching other social workers how to pass their licensure exams. I want to provide guides to as many people as possible, so I created a book to improve self-awareness called Hmm. And the goal of is to help you become more self-aware to improve your quality of life. And I designed 8 questions to achieve this goal. Why 8 questions? I value and appreciate your time, so I created this book to be as efficient and as concise as possible. A lot of mental energy went into the design of these 8 questions. Also, my favorite number is 8. Hope you enjoy. And then we get into the questions, but therapists help you become more self-aware. And I always say when I'm speaking about the book, giving it out, I say, hey, I have a book called It takes about 2 minutes to read, and it's all about you.
Yeah.
Who would want to read a 2 minute book and it's all about you? Now, how long it takes to answer the questions in the book, that time will vary, can vary. But 2 minutes
Yeah.
to read. It's all about you.
I remember reading it and I'm just like, dang, like I felt like I was in my own therapy session in my head. I was just like, oh my. It does get you thinking. It does the job because honestly, we're not sitting here asking ourselves these questions all the time. And it really got me saying, like for real.
Mhm.
So are you doing a number two, book number two?
Yes, but it's going to be more so focused on productivity. Not so much questions, but um, just more so of a tool to use to help people. So again, this book, this is designed to improve self-awareness. I'm going to have another book that's focused on improving productivity. And
Yes.
I would jot down the notes in the notes section of my phone, just ideas I have for it and everything. But that's the next project I'm gonna work on.
Especially us as entrepreneurs can use that. I know I can. Productivity productivity is one of those things that I'm forever working on. I mean, we got all the tools. I'm going to just drop this right now because this is the tool that I've been using as of lately is called Todoist. Todoist, if you don't know, is a task manager system or platform, and they do provide productivity quizzes. So I found out for me, I am very much a time blocking type of person. If you look at my calendar, I give myself blocks. And I have to see it visually because I could say, hey, I'm going to work on this assignment and for an hour, but then I tend to go over the hour or I get distracted. So is that book really surrounding like that type of productivity or just a different side of productivity or aspect of productivity?
All the products that I come out with in the future is going to have a therapist take on it. So it's going to have that blend in it. So it's going to have exercises and things to do to help with productivity, but it's really going to be customized and tailored to you as a person. Just as the book is tailored
Mhm.
to the individual, it's going to be tailored to the person. So because it's tailored to them, there's more buy-in to follow through with it and ultimately increase their productivity.
Is that dropping soon? Like really soon?
I would say more so towards the end of the year, going into next year. I think actually, yeah, end of the year, going to next year, it'd be great to setting those goals and whatnot. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'll be on the lookout for that. We cannot
Mm.
not talk about mindset. Just describe to me in one word. It's always one word. One word, what your mindset is right now. How would you describe it?
Honestly, the first word that came to mind is just blessed, and then from there, it's just doing everything I need to do to achieve my purpose. And your purpose is ever evolving as you continue to live and new things reveal itself to you. But um, it's just more so I know what needs to get done and I execute. If you want more of a um my mental, you remember my space like your top five? Think about
Yeah.
like the thoughts that, and for anyone listening or viewing this, think about the thoughts that are constant in your mind, like your main thought bubbles that float around. You want to try and make those as healthy, as positive, and productive as possible. Not just positive because it's like, oh, well, I don't really have a puppy, but oh, at least I got a puppy. Puppies are cool. But if we want to, move things forward, we want to put those productive thoughts in there as well, which it goes back to surrounding yourself around the right group of people that's headed in the right direction, doing positive things. Um, your friend group, how do you guys talk to each other? How do you talk to yourself?
Yeah.
Family. And it's not about changing people, but we can definitely put those boundaries in place for ourselves where we're like, all right, I'll give X amount of my time to this person, that person, because I just know the situation for what it is. But, so directly answer your question, mindset, um, my mind is like, I just think when I think about it, it's just like, I'm just blessed and I'm just doing what needs to get done because I know what projects I'm currently working on and what just needs to be done, which is to complete them and just the task
Mhm.
to do that and just being focused on that.
So in your top 5, because we remember we could remove people from our top 5. So it's essentially, in those moments, because we overthink, we have anxiety, fear, whatever it may be for you. Like, are you saying that you, on a regular basis, analyze your top 5 and then like replace those top 5 at the same time?
My top 5 is healthy, is what I'm saying. My top 5 thought bubbles that pop up, it's healthy. Friend group,
Okay.
healthy. Family, healthy. The media I consume, healthy.
Nice.
Everything I consume is healthy, and it's like, all right, well, Ray, do you ever partake in any of like the sugar? Like, you listen to like rap music? Like, yeah. But at the same time, um, the majority of my mental is preoccupied with positive and productive things. Going to the gym, working on this task. I might stop, watch a YouTube video for entertainment and stuff like that. That's all fine. But the majority of my mental is focused on the positive and productive things that need to get done. So when you're so focused on those things, it's pretty difficult for the negative, unhelpful things to kind of come creeping in because you're so focused on the positive and productive things.
Mm, that makes a lot of sense. But it doesn't negate that they do come up though. Whatever you put your attention to is obviously what you're going to get more of.
But to be real, like how I view things, because it doesn't happen like often at all. It's like once every blue moon or something like that. I know what I'm doing, and objectively speaking, um, even if someone, oh, I'll give you one. Maybe a year and a half ago at this point, uh, a social worker in a Facebook group mentioned um, something along the lines of Ray's only doing this for money because I commented about something in the group rules or something in the Facebook group. And the person said, oh, Ray's only doing that for money. And shout out to, the social workers every day. They were like, what, Ray? They were, replying back, said, da, 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 da. And when I was looking at that comment, objectively, it's just not true. Like, based off of the comment, I can tell this person was saying it out of emotion, but objectively speaking, it's just not true. Like, as far as the study groups, I have the cheapest study groups out there and I over deliver. Um, Paying for people's licensure exams, ongoing free study groups. And they'll tell you, like, my free study groups, they're not just some whatever. Like, no, like, we go in on those free study groups. I'll offer $5 groups. Like our $5 group, the last one we did, is usually supposed to be an hour. We went to 3 hours. So it's just that when any negativity would come into my bubble, my space, it's one of those things where it would just have to be so one-sided because I know what I'm doing, right? It's almost like if someone was like, oh, because I know you, Ashley, I got a big problem with Ashley, and da-da-da. Like, my first thought would be, I need to get the full context of this because, like, you don't give off that type of energy. So if, like, someone says, like, I got a big problem with Ashley, it's kind of like, let me get the whole context of that, and then even I get the whole context, like, is it how they're perceiving it and everything like that. So
Yeah.
it just doesn't happen often, and I'm confident in me because I know what I do. So objectively speaking, even if it is, oh, Ray, your videos are stupid, they're unhelpful, I know that's not true.
It was actually very recently that something like that has happened where it's like I'm questioning myself or the person that I am. But those are the type of things that I guess in my mind they're like tests, right? It's like you're being tested on how much you have improved and grown because things like that are always going to come our way. As long as we're alive, things like that are just always going to come our way, but it's how we really conduct ourselves and push forward and not really feed into that mess from the way you talk. I'm just like, dang, not gonna lie. There's something that still get to me sometimes. But when you're on a platform too, just as big as yours, I mean, you're vulnerable to a lot of those stuff. And I know that that is a lesson within itself. And just to know that you have supporters around you that, speak on your behalf, even in the comments, like that's awesome.
No, thank you. And to be clear, I am definitely not perfect. I am human. And
Yeah.
a lot of work went into the Ray that, sits before you today, where I've been to therapy, I've had certain experiences growing up and whatnot. And whenever the person is listening to this, whenever like you're ready to make that next level change, like doing what needs to be done, whether it's going to therapy, whether it's, really putting that boundary, establishing that boundary for yourself and the people that needs to be established for, whatever it may be. And, as far as the mentality, affirmations are definitely helpful. I read my affirmations every morning when I wake up. And when you're doing a lot of the right things, and it's like, how do we know if it's right? I believe it's within us, like that right from wrong. Um, but when you're doing a lot of the positive and productive things, it's just you're surrounded by the right group of people. It's just hard for um, any of the negativity and all of that to kind of infiltrate. It's just harder. And you've been compounding that day one, day two, day three, day four, day five, all the way to whenever. It just grows over time and it just becomes powerful.
Yeah.
And just continue to work on yourself.
3 things that I could take away from our conversation today is definitely to know yourself. As a person also who has taken the Clifton Strengths assessment, I believe that's helpful in just both personal and professional realms. The second thing is just being mindful of who you're around, who you're connecting with is very important, and take care of your mental. Go to therapy. Be mindful of the healing process. It's never going to be the right time to heal. It's an ugly process, but it's needed because we all need to go through to bring through, and we all need to really understand the things that we have experienced. It doesn't define who we are. It doesn't make us any less or any different. And honestly, as a collective, we're all going through it. And we, in order for us to heal, we could do amazing things. And there's so much more on the other side of that healing. And not to say that healing is a one and done. Healing is definitely an ongoing journey. Like, as long as we're alive, we are forever going to be healing and growing and learning. And that's how we blossom into our beautiful selves. So yeah, anything else, Ray, you want to say before we drop off?
Just always being honest with yourself, showing yourself grace. And this can be in other realms, but more so in, I've heard before, and it stuck with me. Uh, finding a mentor, finding and having a mentor is like a cheat code to life. And for any person curious of like, where do I find a mentor at? Whatever you want to be doing in the future, whoever is currently doing that, have the results of that, whatever that thing is. Those are the people that I would reach out to be the mentor, that have the receipts of the things that you want to do. You want to learn how to open up a bakery? I will find, someone that owns a bakery and is successful at running a bakery, the bookkeeping, the everything, like all the ins and outs and whatnot. And it's okay if you reach out to one or a few and get turned down. Don't stop. And also, how I approach things, I add value first. So finding a way to add value to their lives, that can also be a pretty good incentive for them to, want to invest in having a conversation with you.
Absolutely. Before we go, we got to do our segment, Shine a Light on Them. This is a space where you show gratitude and appreciation to a special person or special people in your life, just showing how much you appreciate them.
And it could be people?
Yeah.
All right. So first and foremost, shout out to you, Ashley, for having me on your platform. Definitely appreciate you. Shout out to my best friend, my boy Marcus. He's on the grind as well. We're like the same person, slight differences. Where I'm a mental health therapist. He's a personal trainer. I'm right-handed. He's left-handed. I have glasses. He doesn't. So like with a same person, slight differences. So shout out to him, and shout out to my mentor Anton Daniels, doing phenomenal things. And God above all.
Amen. So where can the listeners connect with you on social media?
If you are a social worker or know a social worker studying for their licensure exam, I would highly encourage checking out RayTube on YouTube. So RayTube, exactly like it sounds, RayTube, RayTube on YouTube, helping social workers pass their licensure exams. And if you're not a social worker, don't know a social worker, like I ain't, trying to get into that whole exam prep and all that. My private practice page is Mental and Mind. Also, like it sounds, mental, MENTALINMIND, mental and mind. And I host a free men's support group the first Monday of every month. And the link is in my bio on Instagram. So if you go to my Mental and Mind Instagram, you click the link in the bio, there'll be the form to attend the online men's support group. It's the first Monday of every month at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
So all of this will be down in the show notes and the video description as always, so you guys can check him out and connect. I definitely learned a lot, revisited a lot, and just it's good to talk to a fellow social worker because I definitely have been out the loop for a little bit, but it's good to just know and see all that you're doing. And like I always say, I'm always rooting for you, Ray. So thank you guys again for tuning in to another episode of Your Divine Glow podcast. I hope Ray's story has left you thinking of all the possibilities that lie ahead of you. And we will catch y'all in the next episode. Until then, continue to let your divine glow shine, babies. Peace.